Bhutale Gurudasa Swami Om Vishnu Padalila Krishna Krishna Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachabali Nirvishesha Shondavati Ashtadhyadishradhari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanam Shri Advaita Bhagavan Shivasati Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanam Shri Advaita Bhagavan Shivasati Gaur Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare
Jai Om Vishnupad Panamansa Paripad Vicacharya Stota Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kunigiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mani Ki Jai Jamana Mani Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samareta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Welcome to all. We're reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 4:23. And we're on October 6th, 2022, if one is in New York. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mai Bhaktir Bhutanam Amritatvaya Kolpate Dishyayad Asin Matsneho Bhavatinam Madapanaha. Devotional service rendered to me by the living beings revives their eternal life. O my dear damsels of Braja, your affection for me is your good fortune, for it is the only means by which you have obtained my favor. Purport. Pure devotional service is represented in the activities of the residents of Brajabhumi, Vrindavan. During a solar eclipse, the Lord came from Dwarka and met the inhabitants of Vrindavan at Samanta Panchaka. The meeting was intensely painful for the damsels of Brajabhumi, because Lord Krishna had apparently left them to reside at Dwarka. But the Lord obligingly acknowledged the pure devotional service of the damsels of Braja by speaking this verse, Bhagavatam 10:82-44. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Miditam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kodamaiham Dadhati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrashatam Shahagana Gaganatan Vitam Stam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Shahagana Lulita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Papa Sindhobhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In this portion of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining the confidential reasons for the Lord's appearance, for Lord Chaitanya's appearance in this world. He appeared externally to spread the Sankirtan movement, and internally for purposes of his own in relationship to the his internal energy. So analogously, Lord Krishna also appeared for two reasons, or three reasons: to reestablish religious principles, to vanquish the demons, and to protect and favor the devotees. Of course, Dharma Samstapana ultimately means establishing pure devotional service. But between Prarthanaya and Vinashaya, the Lord killing the demons was a secondary purpose. He could do that without even needing to appear. So his real purpose was to favor the devotees. To favor the devotees and to exhibit his internal activities. So here, the Lord is speaking to his most confidential devotees. Mai bhakti ibhutanam amritatvaya kopate. Devotional service to me brings about a revival of one's eternal life. Dishtya yat asid mat sneha. The bhavati nam madapana. Dishtya, somehow by good fortune, you have mat sneha, such attraction for me, such affection for me. And that's how you obtained me. That's how you've obtained my favor, only by your love for me. The Lord is more interested in loving dealings, spontaneous loving dealings with his devotees, than in the formal execution of religious principles, or even the regulative principles of devotional service. So these themes will be developed one after another. Any comments or questions so far? Oh, Kendra Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. What we were hearing yesterday in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and I hope this is relevant to today's verse and verses, how Lord Chaitanya had his internal and external reasons, and you were speaking just how Krishna has his internal, external reasons for appearing, and different kinds of devotees deal with him according to his either internal or external mood. And the example that sparked this for me was Prakashananda Saraswati, that he was, died in the wool Mayavadi impersonalist, and he was so impressed that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew the Vedanta Sutra so well. So it just, on the basis of his vast and perfect knowledge, he surrendered to him and begged his forgiveness. Meanwhile, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's internal reason, Prakashananda Saraswati might not be so clued into, similar to where Lord Brahma came and stole the cowherd boys, and then after his Vimohana Lila, surrendered to Krishna, offered prayers, but Krishna just wanted to have his lunch, and Brahma couldn't really understand that, and that's why he stole the cowherd boys in the first place. I hope that's relevant to this. Hare Krishna.
Yes, very, very much relevant. For preaching, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had exchanges with people like Prakashananda Saraswati and many others. But for achieving his most confidential purposes, Swarup Damodar and his most intimate devotees were with him, Ramananda, Swarup Damodar, and so on. Yeah, very well. Thank you. Matamore putra bhave koren bandhan matina gyane kore lalana palan. Mother sometimes binds me as her son. She nourishes and protects me, thinking me utterly helpless. So this is another example of spontaneous love, the love of Mother Yashoda. Putra bhave, in the feeling that Krishna is her son, and atihin gyane, thinking that Krishna is in need of protection, lalana palan. We have to protect Krishna, we have to nourish Krishna, we have to instruct Krishna. Koren bandhan, when he's most mischievous, we need to tie him up to control this boy. Oh, these are all, this is another example of pure, spontaneous love for the Lord. Shaka Shuddha Shakya Kore Skandhe Arohan Tumi Kon Paraloka Tumi Amisham. My friends climb on my shoulders in pure friendship, saying, what kind of big man are you? You and I are equal. This was again spontaneous love, and the spontaneous love of Yashoda Mata. Her feeling is that Krishna is subordinate, Krishna is less. Krishna requires her superior guidance and protection. The mood of the cowherd boys, the friends of Krishna, Tumi Amisham, you're the same, on the same level that we're on. So don't think yourself such a big shot. Tumi Kon Paraloka. What kind of big man are you? We challenge you. And sometimes they climb on his shoulders. They put their feet on his body. In the regulative principles, this would be a massive aparad. But in the loving relationship between Krishna and his friends, this is relished. Priyayori man kori koriye parchan vedashruti vaite hare she mordman. If my beloved consort reproaches me in a sulky mood, that steals my mind from the reverent hymns of the Vedas. And Krishna is more attracted to the reprimands of his girlfriends than he is to the very serious prayers offered in the Vedas. Purport. According to the Upanishads, all living entities are dependent on the supreme living entity, the personality of Godhead. It is said in the Katha Upanishad, Nitya Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidhati Kamam. One eternal living entity supports all the other eternal living entities. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead maintains all the other living entities, they remain subordinate to the Lord, even when joined with him in the reciprocation of loving affairs. So that's the first thing. Eko Bahunam Yoviditati Kama. Ekali Ishwar Krishna Sabkritya. Krishna is always the supreme controller, the supreme maintainer. Even when the devotees are reciprocating with him in intimate moods, he's still the supreme personality of Godhead. But in the course of exchanging transcendental love of the highest purity, sometimes the subordinate devotee tries to predominate over the predominator. One who lovingly engages with the Supreme Lord as if he were his mother or father, sometimes supersedes the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, his fiancé or lover sometimes supersedes the position of the Lord. But such attempts are exhibitions of the highest love. Only out of pure love does the subordinate lover of the Supreme Personality of Godhead chide him. The Lord, enjoying this chiding, takes it very nicely. The exhibition of natural love makes such activities very enjoyable. In worship of the Supreme Lord with veneration, there's no manifestation of such natural love because the Lord, the devotee considers the Lord is superior. Regulative principles and devotional service are meant for those who have not invoked their natural love of Godhead. When natural love arises, all regulative methods are surpassed, and pure love is exhibited between the Lord and the devotee. Although on such a platform of love, the devotee sometimes appears to predominate over the Lord or transgress regulative principles, such dealings are far more advanced than ordinary dealings through regulative principles with awe and veneration. A devotee who's actually free from all designations due to complete attachment in love for the Supreme exhibits spontaneous love for Godhead, which is always superior to the devotion of regulative principles. Kaviraj Goswami is establishing here the superiority of natural, spontaneous love for Krishna. The love expressed through awe and veneration is all right, but it's not on the same level as these spontaneous dealings. Because of spontaneous love, the devotee sometimes oversteps the regulative principles, ignores the regulative principles, forgets about the regulative principles, just to express spontaneous love for Krishna. Such devotees forget that Krishna is supreme. Their love takes charge, and they express their love according to their particular kind of feeling for him. And the Lord appreciates that so much more than devotional service performed according to regulative principles. Tulsi Priya.
Yes, Maharaj. If you like, you can read the last paragraph. I just wanted to let you know that Sadhu Seva Prabhu had a comment in the chat box, but it got kind of mixed in with the rest of the text that I was posting.
Okay, so thank you for that. Let's scroll up. Okay. He has a comment, huh? Oh, okay. It is stated in the purport, although on such a platform of love, the devotee sometimes appears to predominate over the Lord or transgress regulative principles. Does this predomination appear like this to the devotee who's spiritually covered by the Lord's energy? Or does it appear like this for an observer of the pastime, or both? For the devotee doesn't think, I'm transgressing the regulative principles. Not of devotional service. I'm not observing the regulations concerning aparads or concerning how many items should be offered in what order and how many times. The devotee doesn't think, well, I'm transcending all of this because of pure love. He just loves Krishna. Sometimes they know, just like the gopis know, that we're ignoring our husbands. This is against the regulative principles. So to the extent that such knowledge contributes to the exchanges with the Lord, there may be knowledge of that. But generally, the devotees don't even think about it. They don't even think about it. Some incident is there in the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Jagannath Mishra had a dream in which a Brahmin appeared to him and said that you're chastising your son, you're reprimanding your son, but don't you know that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan? And Jagannath Mishra responded, he may be whatever he may be, but he's my son, so I have to teach him properly. That means we just don't care about the regulative principles. We don't even acknowledge these things. The spontaneous love takes over. But we're observers of these things. We see this. Kunti Devi, although she's also a pure devotee of the Lord, observes that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's running in fear of Mother Yashoda and crying. So those who are observing these things, who are outside that sphere of a particular kind of natural love, may see that yes, this is going on. That the devotee is predominating, taking the position of dominator over the personality of Godhead. But the spontaneous devotees in Vrindavan all just are swept away by their spontaneous feelings and don't consider that Krishna is this, Krishna is that. Sometimes the cowherd boys joking among themselves they play as kings and subjects. And sometimes Krishna becomes the king, and he's like a mock king, and the boys are the subjects. So it's just a joke that you're the king, and tomorrow some other boy will be king. But Krishna is the king of all kings, but that's not taken into account. That's not taken into account at all. Okay. The informal language used between lover and beloved is indicative of pure affection, not only informal, but sometimes sharp language, critical language. When, when devotees worship their beloved as the most venerable object, spontaneous loving sentiments are observed to be lacking. We see that when Kumar goes to Vaikuntha, the Vaikuntha devotees are teaching him how to behave in the presence of Lord Narayan, how you offer obeisances, how you speak to the Lord, how you serve the Lord, everything very particular. But Kumar, by his spontaneous love, is sometimes calling out, "Oh Gopal," and addressing the Lord or dealing with the Lord in an informal way. And the Vaikuntha Vasis, what is this? This is not how you're supposed to do it. So Kumar is a misfit in Vaikuntha, because in Vaikuntha, everyone is bound by feelings of extreme reverence for the Lord. But this Kumar has the mood of Vrindavan, so he's attracted to the Lord in a spontaneous mood. And the Kumar felt uncomfortable because the spontaneous love that he was attracted to wasn't there in Vaikuntha. So it wasn't his place. A neophyte devotee who follows the Vedic instructions that regulate those who lack pure love of God, pure love of Godhead, may superficially seem more exalted than a devotee in spontaneous love of Godhead. But in fact, such spontaneous pure love is far superior to regulated devotional service. Such pure love of Godhead is always glorious in all respects, more so than reverential devotional service rendered by a less affectionate devotee. We might sometimes think that this spontaneous love is somehow inferior, shown by devotees who are not so advanced in following the regulative principles. But those who know the science know that this spontaneous loving mood is superior. Again, where Srila Prabhupada continually warned us about falsely adopting the higher mood. It's not that because it's higher, we can just jump to it. That's not accepted. The ailing patient first has to take the follow the prescription of the doctor and become cured. Then he can perform the spontaneous healthy activities. While he's sick, he has to eat according to the doctor's direction, take medicine according to the doctor's direction. If he just thinks that, let me jump to the healthy platform, eat as I like, do what I like, then he'll fall sick again. So in the stage of recuperation or treatment for recuperation, he has to follow some rules and regulations. But he shouldn't think that this is my life, staying in the hospital, eating hospital food, getting nourishment on the drip. That's not real life. This is only the road back to my natural, healthy activities. Okay. E Shuddha Bhaktala Karimu Avatar Koriva Bibitha Bidha Adbhuta Vihar Vaikuntadye Nahiye Jay Lila Prachar She Lila Koribo Yate Mor Chamatkar. Taking these pure devotees with me, I shall descend and sport in various wonderful ways, unknown even in Vaikuntha. I shall broadcast such pastimes by which even I am amazed. Purport. Lord Krishna, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, educates his devotees to develop progressively to the stage of pure devotional service. Thus, he appears periodically as a devotee to take part in various wonderful activities depicted in his sublime philosophy and teachings. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky, and in all of them, the Lord accepts the service rendered by his eternal devotees in a reverential mood. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna presents his most confidential pastimes as he enjoys them in his transcendental realm. Such pastimes are so attractive that they attract even the Lord, and thus he relishes them in the form of Lord Chaitanya. Sadhu Seva. As you mentioned, sometimes devotees artificially discard Vaidhi Bhakti principles in favor of spontaneous devotion. How should we associate with such devotees, if at all? Generally, not at all. Those who've taken seriously to that path of artificial spontaneous devotion are the Sahajiyas and other members of Appa Sampradayas, and we should avoid their association rigorously. Their association will be corrosive for those who are on the path of pure devotional service. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Panchatra Vinimana Vaikantiki Hare Bhaktir Utpataya Vakopate. The activities of such persons disrupt the field of pure devotional service. They're an impediment, and so one should avoid them. Otherwise, just someone who's following the regulative principles, but he puts on airs of being more advanced than he is, and that we may overlook. And okay, he's got this quirk or this feature to his life. Everyone has something. We also have something in our character that can be criticized. So we don't want to become overly critical We may sometimes be wrong in our evaluation also. But that's for those who are just something not very serious. But those who are, their life is artificial, spontaneous devotion should be avoided. Yes, Radesh.
I had a question. I had heard some time ago that the difference between Raganuga and Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is only an internal difference, that externally they're both following quite rigidly the sadhana.
Yeah.
Just that the Raganuga destinate goal is Goloka, whereas the other is Vaikuntha.
Yeah, about Raghunath Das Goswami is our Priyojana Acharya, and it's said that his regular principles were like a line drawn in stone.
But then we do see these examples where, what the gopis are doing, what the cowherd boys are doing, it's definitely not, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti.
They don't follow any kind of sadhana. Neither Raganuga sadhana nor Vaidhi sadhana. They have nothing to do with sadhana. Their business is to herd the cows and to steal Krishna's lunch and to climb on his shoulders and play games and boast that they're as good as him or better. That's nothing to do with sadhana or any of that. But that's in the spiritual world. The same devotees in the same mood of perfection in the material world follow the regulative principles. They follow the regulative principles more strictly than many neophyte devotees. You see the regulative principles followed by the 6 Goswamis. Nidrahara Vihara Kala Vijito, Sankhya Purvaka Namaganti, Chakraturna Masheshananda. They were very serious, most serious about following the path of devotional service as prescribed in the Shastras. But internally, Gopi Bhava Samrita Tilahari Kaloklamana. They're absorbed in the mood of the gopis. Of course, sometimes these things also appear externally. So the Goswamis were Hey Radhe Vrajadevike Jalalite Hey Nandashin Buddha Goshantavati Sarvato Vrajapure Kedar Mahafuga. They were running around Vrindavan. Hey Radhe, hey Krishna, where are you? What's going on? Are you by the Jamuna? Are you by Govardhan? Like madmen. So that's not according to the regulative principles. So sometimes the features of spontaneous love are manifest, but the principle, the following of the regulative principles is also manifest for the benefit of conditioned souls. Now, Bean also had a comment way back. Okay, let's find it. Anyonyam asit sanjalpa uttama chetasam Govendra Purastriyam Sarvashruti Manohara. Absorbed in thoughts of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastinapur began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. Bhagavatam 1:10-30. Yes. They were, this is what girls do if they would be in Vedic society. Some really super guy is passing by, so they'll look from the house, from the rooftops or the balconies, and they'll talk among themselves. Ooh, look at his turban. Ooh, look at his mustache. Ooh, look at that horse he's riding on. This, that. Oh, and this and that. So many topics about the man. So the ladies of Hastinapur, they were on the rooftops and they were talking about Krishna. But their talking was, first of all, Siddhantic, exactly full of Vedic knowledge, but also full of spontaneous attraction. So the Lord was valued those, that jalpa or prajalpa, you can say. We have our prajalpa we talk about, if we're talking about, did you see Prabeen, what he was doing in front of the temple the other day? Yeah, I saw. What do you think about it? Well, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what I think. That's prajalpa. But when they're talking about Krishna, these ladies on the rooftops, that's the perfection of jalpa or prajalpa. Even there, when Radharani is speaking with the bead, and there are all these kinds of jalpa for which there aren't even English equivalent names, Ati jalpa and this jalpa and that jalpa. They're talking in like she's speaking like a mad woman, and so much is going on. So this is, yes, spontaneous love. And thank you for that quote. That's nice. Now, Sadhu Seva says, as you mentioned, sometimes devotees artificially discard. Okay, so we got that. Prabhin says, Jagannath Mishra replied, even if my son is not a common man, but Narayan, still it's the duty of the father to instruct his son. Adi 1489, yes. And Tulsi Priya quotes from second canto, purport 731. Lord Krishna saved his foster father, Nanda Maharaj, from the fear of the demigod Varuna and released the cowherd boys from the caves of the mountain, where they were placed there by the son of Maya. Also, to the inhabitants of Vrindavan, who were busy working during daytime and sleeping soundly at night because of their hard labor in the day, Lord Krishna awarded promotion to the highest planet in the spiritual sky. All these acts are transcendental and certainly prove without any doubt his godhood. That may be translation, actually. So yes, this is again the transcendental position of the Brajbasis. Sadhu Seva says, I tried to persuade a former ISKCON devotee who has gone down this path. He considers the Vaidhis to be inferior compared to his seemingly artificial display of spontaneous emotions. Should we try to defeat such devotees or just avoid them? We may generally avoid them. They're more advanced than we are. They're more absorbed in spontaneous devotional service. So better that we go on with our work, as it's sometimes called, our, yes, our karmic activity of distributing books, serving the mission of Srila Prabhupada, carrying out the regulative principles, and so many other things that we do. We can carry on with our work while such devotees pursue their higher calling. Better not to mix. There may be some who are genuinely on a platform where there's some awakening of spontaneous devotion. They may be there within ISKCON also. So we don't want to offend anyone.
Because of that, they leave ISKCON.
Yeah, because of that, they leave ISKCON because of being offended, or because they have to pursue spontaneous love. They have to pursue spontaneous love, and of course you can't pursue spontaneous love while you're serving in ISKCON. So we have to go someplace else. Anyway, in the present context, there are historical reasons and personal reasons why people follow their own particular trajectory. And we don't want to just condemn people needlessly. For one reason or another, they've gone in the direction that they've gone. And best that we wish them well and carry on with our own path of devotional service. The challenging may only be necessary in some forum where Siddhanta is misrepresented. But better if we don't have to challenge. If someone is open for some discussion, then we may discuss things and see if there's some common ground or some better understanding that might be had on either side or both. Otherwise, we'll just carry on. All right, you have your life and I have my life. And we don't have to get into fighting and criticism. We'll just carry on in our own way and wish such devotees well. Sometimes, of course, we see that those who've, anyway, we won't go into it, but the path that Srila Prabhupada gave us was the path of following the regulative principles seriously while hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting Hare Krishna, worshiping the deities, associating with devotees, taking advantage of holy places like Mayapur and Vrindavan, so that we can make firm progress, step by step, on the path toward pure love for Krishna. Our goal is pure love for Krishna. Our goal is not simply to follow the regulative principles. That we should do, but that's not the highest position. In the purport we read, Srila Prabhupada said that Lord Chaitanya came to educate the devotees about these higher understandings or higher expressions of spontaneous love for Krishna. So we don't want to dismiss those as somehow irrelevant for us. These things are meant for us also. But as Srila B.R. Sridhar Maharaj used to say, we should keep these things above our head or on our heads. It means we worship this higher position from our lower position. If we assume the higher position, we may fall. But if we take the lower position, then the grace needed for attaining the higher position may descend upon us. So we should, therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Trinadapi Sunichena, Turodapi Sihishana, Amanina, Manadena, Kirtaniya, Sadahari. I've often quoted Srila Sridhar Maharaj as having said that this process is their gradual process. Adal Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangota, Bhajana Kriya, step by step. And he commented that if we skip some step, that portion that we've skipped in our life will remain hollow. Like the structure of a building where at some crucial point, the structural elements are not properly in place, and the building can later collapse. So we don't want to, Prabhupada called that jumping over. We don't want to artificially jump to the higher position, but from the lower position of following the regulative principles, we can understand these things or seek to understand these things and gradually develop genuine love for Krishna by the mercy of the Lord. Sevan mukhehi jivados vayam evas parachada. We can't catapult ourselves into Goloka Vrindavan as the Sahajas try to do. They'll put on a sari and become gopis, or less dramatically, they'll just adopt the mood of the spontaneous devotees. We're not advised to adopt their mood. We're advised to serve and follow. By serving and following, gradually we make progress. Okay. Anything else? Okay, we have time, I think, for one verse more. Mo Vishwaye Gopi Goner Upapati Pade Yogamaya Koribeka Apana Prapade. The influence of Yogamaya will inspire the gopis with the sentiment that I am their paramour. Purport. Yogamaya is the name of the internal potency that makes the Lord forget himself and become an object of love for his pure devotee in different transcendental mellows. This Yogamaya potency creates a spiritual sentiment in the minds of the damsels of Braja, by which they think of Lord Krishna as their paramour. This sentiment is never to be compared to mundane, illicit, sexual love. It has nothing to do with sexual psychology, although the pure love of such devotee seems to be sexual. One should know for certain that nothing can exist in this cosmic manifestation that has no real counterpart in the spiritual field. All material manifestations are emanations of the transcendence. The erotic principles of amorous love reflected in mixed material values are perverted reflections of the reality of spirit. but one cannot understand the reality unless one is sufficiently educated in the spiritual science. It's not that one can't understand the reality unless one is well-versed in the absorption of in material sexual life. That's an impediment, a gross impediment. The spiritual activities have nothing to do with their reflections in the material world. So we have to see these things. The Tulsi Priya says, why does Srila Prabhupada refer to the Adiras as the original sex psychology if it has nothing to do with sex? This is Chandrashakha pointing to the distant thing by pointing to something close. You see the moon up there? No, I don't see it. They're just over that branch. The moon is so far away, millions of miles, but we locate it by reference to the branch. So the dealings of Krishna with the gopis are millions of miles away from the sexual activities of the material world. But some reference is given that it's something, some resemblance is there. Krishna's a boy, the gopis are girls, but they're dealing, their qualities and their dealings are completely different. Haridas quotes from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Malala Harijan Vishaya Range Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Mange. Yes. Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Mange. The servants of Hari are engaged in lavish affairs, handling material wealth and engaging all matter of things in the Lord's service. They worship the path of spontaneous devotion with Gaurava Bhange, in a mood of awe and reverence. And to show that the Ragapat is above all, above our heads, they remain as servants, being a little distant and below, praying for that of the servant's duty, not for that of a confidential nature, not to bring that highest divine love down here, but to hold that upon their heads. Thank you very much for that, Haridas Prabhu. All right, shall we have some more kirtan?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnuvad Paramahansa Chanda Ashtotra Sri Desi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kuniki Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mani Ki Jai Ramana Mani Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Go Premanande.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Atendra Prabhu. And thank you to all the devotees. Especially thank you to Haridas Prabhu. All right, so Hari Hari.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Gurudev.